Have you ever stopped to think that virtually everything we use in our daily lives is based on technology? Even further, do you understand the software behind this technology? Welcome to The Art of Software with Martin.m.lacey. In today's program, you'll hear how software is created and implemented, why it's written the way it is, and learn from its success stories, proven best practices, and significant failures. Now, here is your host, Martin.m.lacey.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I'm Martin.m.lacey. This is The Art of Software. In today's show, we're going to be talking to Terry Cutler, who is a certified government cleared security expert and ethical hacker. He's also the vice president of cybersecurity at Serco Investigations and Protection in Montreal. 3 hours ahead, not 2. That's my mistake. Sorry, Terry.
How are you?
That's an inside joke. I'm doing well, Terry. Yeah, I messed up this morning, and I thought Terry was only 2 hours ahead, but in fact he's 3. So thankfully he's still able to join us today. And thanks very much for joining us, Terry.
My pleasure.
Terry has had an exciting career. He's moved himself into the cybersecurity world, and joins the elite as a ethical hacker. And he's got some great insights as to how consumers as well as businesses can protect themselves, who these guys are. We've heard about them in the news. Various organizations are manipulating and using hackers of varying degrees to push their aims. And there's all kinds of stuff going on with hackers, and we've heard about Fancy Bear and so forth. So let's sort of jump in with Terry, and Terry, if you could tell us how you got started in this and how you came about to being in this really cool position you're in.
Sure. Well, I've always been passionate about computers since I was 10 years old. So I've always been the go-to guy at school where kids would come see me for, they want to get cracked games or remember the days of Leisure Suit Larry?
Yes, yeah.
They come to me for tips and fix their computers and whatever. And they always kept calling me this hacker all the time, hacker. In fact, even in my yearbook, it says claim to fame hacker. And over the years, I got inspired by watching shows like CSI and 24. I'm like, how does Chloe O'Brien break in all these systems so fast? And then I found out there was actually a course called the Certified Ethical Hacker that was fairly up and coming at the time. But this is back in 2005. Okay. And so this course teaches you the same techniques as the bad guys used to break in, except you're using these skills for good. And then I got super passionate about educating both businesses and consumers on how to protect themselves online against hackers.
So you attended the course, you started educating businesses, and it just kind of grew from there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously at the time, no businesses cared about it, right? So I was like, oh, you're trying to instill fear in us, it's FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yes.
And same for consumers, and it's still true today. Like, nobody wants cybersecurity until it's too late. So I'm trying desperately to kind of stir up and show them the problem in advance before it's happening. But they're still in denial that it'll never happen. They're catching on though, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, there's always seems to be this denial. It won't happen to me. It's like insurance in an accident.
That's it.
It's always the other guy. It's not me. And you're depending on what I've always described as security through obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
No one's gonna bother me because I'm just hiding in the corner, and they'll be going after bigger fish.
That's right. And now there's a new law coming out now. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but it's like a breach disclosure law. So here in Canada, if you get breached, you are supposed to report it or else get fined.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that at a personal level or just business level?
Business level, from what I understand.
Okay. So then at that level, I guess the push would be certainly for public companies to ensure that their perimeter is well secured.
That's it.
Yeah, you don't want to have that public face of a public company be tarnished, right?
But then you have, that's a double-edged sword too, right? Because when you hear what happened to Winners and HomeSense and all these guys that got hacked years ago, you would expect these guys to shut their doors, right? And the payment processors would have cut them off. Instead, they just got fines, and in fact, they even made money on it.
Oh, really?
Well, consumers didn't care. They have a short-term memory.
Yes.
Or even Equifax, right? Their job, they earn a living off of fraud. So here they are, they get hacked, and now there's another news report that they lost another 2.4 million Canadian or something like that today. I have to check that identities, but so here they are. They get hacked. Oh, we're so sorry. So let us put you on some identity fraud protection, which also belongs to them.
So they're turning the engine.
Yeah. So here they are giving you 1 year of identity protection, but then the following year, if you're paying whatever $15 a month, it's like they're earning several millions of dollars in profit because of this.
Wow.
And the consumers are left hanging holding the bag.
That just doesn't sound ethical at all.
Well, there you go. So how are we going to fix that part,
Yeah. How would you approach that? I guess bringing more businesses that supply that level of infrastructure.
It's so hard. It's so hard because there's so many ways now to hide your tracks. We often come across companies that say we're doing an intrusion test on them, and all of a sudden we found out that they may have been hacked before we got there, and we see traffic coming in from let's say a BitTorrent network in their environment, but we don't know who's coming in, who's going out, where it's coming from, and the only thing you can do is block it. But did they install another backdoor somewhere? So it's
that's the problem. Once it gets started, it's they can start installing and building their own infrastructure on your network.
That's it. And then on top of it, the client says, "Well, I only want to pay you on results." You can't even guarantee that.
Well, I guess you could just, the first result is, hey, look at the traffic. That's not yours, and it's on your network.
That's it. Exactly. What are they doing? I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, then they'll say, well, what are these guys doing on my system? I don't know. They may have leaked out all your confidential data for all I know. And a lot of times the companies don't even have the technology in place to even detect it or even monitor what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Or their logs are not enabled.
So many things that they need to address, and it's just where do you start? Mm-hmm. So that's what I think we want to focus on in this first few minutes is before we start protecting the business, who are these guys? Is there a way to identify the different types of hackers? I put up the broad stroke of saying white hats and black hats, white hats being the good guys, the ethical hackers, black hats being various levels of miscreant who's trying to subvert your system for personal or business gains or political purposes, even social gain. Hey, I hacked it.
It's a really good question, and really the answer is anybody can do it. I can even, if I want to have a secondary income, I could load up, I can buy a ransomware kit offline and online and launch my own attack against random people and get paid anonymously, and they'll never find me. So
really.
Well, it's because the whole payment system, the whole BitTorrent and the whole Bitcoin process of payment is all anonymous. It's untraceable.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big problems with Bitcoin and some of the cryptocurrencies is that untraceability. And I think we talked about that in a couple of shows ago about blockchain. Blockchain's awesome because it provides that transparency, but Bitcoin, on the other hand, is an implementation of it, which, in some instances, in a lot of cases, it's there to hide the identity of people.
That's the point. And then a lot of times you'll hear reports, it's always the Russians or the Chinese that are hacking us, and or from India. And a lot of times there's a reason for that because most of these countries, they have an income of $500 a month. Okay. So,
yeah.
And now imagine you're earning $500 a month, and you start launching ransomware attacks, and all of your victims are paying you $500 to $1,000 a shot. Now you're earning $5,000 a month.
And it's cross country.
Right. So if I'm a victim here in Canada, it would cost me $20,000 to $100,000 to hire lawyers, get investigations in place, and go overseas or wherever it is to investigate that. So why would I spend tens of or hundreds of thousands of dollars on a loss of $1,000 when I should be putting that back into my own company and protecting myself better with training?
Right.
So you're just going to write off $1,000, and they know that.
Wow. So it becomes almost a cost benefit situation. Might as well just pay them off. And of course, if they're coming from a third world or second world, first world country, could be down the street. If you can hide your identity. Wow. Talk about a revenue stream. And of course, a nasty one at that, but still allowing people to do that is.
And same as, when they get hacked, they think the first thing that the victim is going to do is, well, I'm going to call the police. And they're going to find out soon enough that the police don't have the time or the resources to help you. They're not going to go and spend all their resources because you lost $500 or $1,000.
Right.
So, and even if they had the money, say it was a $1 million fraud, well, it's almost impossible to track back folks that are coming over BitTorrent.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've used BitTorrent years ago, and the only time I thought it was handy was for getting hold of hacked software applications and things like that.
Yeah. So the way the whole Tor system works, which is TOR, it stands for the onion router. And what's happening is you enter this network, and you're going through between 3 and 10 networks to hide your tracks.
Okay.
So all of a sudden now you come out into the victim's network with a specific IP address. Well, say you try to track back that IP address, so it's going to come back and say, well, you're just a Tor exit node. And there's a good chance the logs are not even on that system. They've always been erased, or they're not logging it. And there's maybe 5 to 9 other layers of networks that you've come through so that they still have to investigate.
Log upon log, layers upon layers of logs. And of course, if they're not kept in sync, and they're all on personal computers or routed. And
they're scattered. They're scattered across the globe. So then, if they have jurisdiction issues, to go and get those servers.
Right.
It's right now. Like cybersecurity for me is such a stressful field. Like it's like everything we're trying to do is not working. To help protect these companies.
Yeah, to every angle you look at is, oh, there's a bad guy there. Oh, there's a bad guy there. Oh, there's a bad guy there.
That's it.
Holy smokes! This is quite a interesting problem that we're
tip of the iceberg.
yeah, and that's really it. It is the tip of the iceberg, and we're just chipping it away, just a small piece of ice at a time. Yeah. We're going to quickly go to a break here, Terry. Then we'll come back and get into some of the more challenging issues dealing with security and how you protect yourself. So with that in mind, Terry, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks, everybody. Please come back in a couple minutes' time. We'll be back shortly. This is Martin Lacey and Terry Cutler on Voice America, The Art of Software.